The day I moved into my long-awaited new home, I became homeless. My husband chose to be with his terminally ill ex-girlfriend, and now she looks at me with a triumphant smile. Moreover, my in-laws are welcoming his new wife without even scolding my husband. To top it all off, they have the audacity to demand custody of my beloved daughter. Will I, under siege, be able to overcome this hardship? I lost my home on the very day I moved into my new house. 6 months later, I was still troubled by calls from my ex-husband. The excitement of a new home is unparalleled. While production homes are great, custom homes have their charm too. Everything looks so pristine and dreamlike, especially on moving day. Did the house explode or something? If that's true, it would be like going from heaven to hell all at once. Let me explain in more detail. That would make me happy too. By the way, the house didn't explode. I'm an office worker in my 30s, and my family consists of my husband of 5 years, Anthony, and a 2-year-old daughter. After taking a year of maternity leave, I returned to work. Despite feeling guilty about leaving my daughter, I wanted to save for her education and build a new home. With both of us working, our savings were growing, and just as we started talking about finding land, my husband said something one day.
It seems my dad is going to help with the down payment for the house. Well, there's just one condition. It has to be built in the same neighborhood as my parents' house. What do you think?
That's what my husband said, but I disliked my in-laws. And they didn't like me either. They're old-fashioned people. When I mentioned I would continue working after marriage, they openly disapproved. Being a homemaker is fine, isn't it? I enjoy working, and most people around us are dual-income households. Anthony respects my views, and we support each other. We're determined to make it work. I said this when we first got married, but my in-laws continued to look displeased until the end. Things are different now compared to the past. Prices have changed, and it's important to work while you can. My husband shared the same views, so I felt reassured to continue working. When my in-laws found out our 1-year-old daughter would be in daycare, they said,
"Putting such a small child in daycare, isn't that pitiful?"
"You don't need to bother putting her in such a place. I can take care of her myself." I chuckled awkwardly when she said that, but whenever my in-laws got too pushy, my husband would step in.
That's what worries me more. It's definitely more reassuring to leave it to the professionals.
My husband always intervened and helped out in those times. During this time, I still believed my husband had empathy. Fortunately, my in-laws adored our daughter, so I thought our relationship with them wasn't too bad. While my in-laws often nagged and criticized, they loved our daughter, so it was bearable. Besides, I knew my husband would protect us if anything happened. Thinking this way, I agreed to my husband's proposal and decided to build our new home in the same neighborhood as his parents. However, something unusual happened to my husband. Ever since he attended his high school reunion, his mind seemed elsewhere. He started becoming more absent-minded. Life is so fleeting. Seeing my husband lost in thought like that made me worried. Amidst this, our new home was finally completed. On weekends, amidst the rush of moving preparations, we safely completed our move. A sparkling new kitchen, a spacious living room, a child room for our daughter. My heart danced with joy at it all. "We came to celebrate your new home. Oh, what a lovely house. New homes are truly wonderful."
Maybe it wouldn't be bad for us to live here in our retirement.
I chuckled awkwardly at my in-laws' excitement. Just then, the doorbell rang. Looking at the monitor, there was a woman standing there, looking at Anthony. Must be a neighbor? She introduced herself when she came by earlier. She seemed quite friendly. I was about to mention this to my husband, but...
No, I called her over. Daphne, I have something to tell you about Cynthia.
I watched my husband's serious expression as if he had made a decision. "Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me today. Please have these if you'd like." Ignoring me as I tried to accept the gift, she smiled and handed the gift to my mother-in-law. Shouldn't she hand it to me, the wife? But before any embarrassment could register, my husband made an outrageous statement.
"This is Cynthia, my high school classmate. We're dating now."
Huh? My mind couldn't keep up with my husband's cryptic announcement. Dating now? My in-laws seemed equally surprised, mouths hanging open.
"Cynthia has a tumor and doesn't have long. When I heard about it at the reunion, I couldn't ignore it. I want to support her for the rest of her life. So, Daphne, Please, divorce me.
How can you say that so suddenly? What about our daughter? Isn't this such a betrayal? I raised my voice in anger. Please, don't blame Anthony alone, Daphne. I'm at fault too. I couldn't forget Anthony even after we broke up in high school. Meeting again after so long, my feelings couldn't be stopped. I'm sorry.
Cynthia, I'm the one at fault. I'm sorry, especially with your condition.
Cynthia wasn't particularly beautiful, but her petite and delicate frame seemed like the type that men would want to protect. After a silence, it wasn't me or my husband or even Cynthia who spoke, but my hated in-laws. Anthony prefers her over you, Daphne. Well, there's no helping it now, is there? Daphne, just give him the divorce. Huh?
Yeah, I agree too. Supporting the woman he loves in her final moments? Isn't it a beautiful story?
They said. Can you believe it? Do you understand what you're saying? Anthony, you cheated on me and our daughter. It's absurd that you're not being scolded. But is this solely Anthony's responsibility? Wasn't your change of heart also part of the problem? The in-laws who sneer at me and Cynthia who snuggles up to them, I couldn't help but think they were all insane. Anthony left me dumbfounded. Then he uttered an incredibly shocking statement.
So, about our daughter, I think I'll take custody. My parents live nearby, and Cynthia will quit her job to become a full-time housewife. I feel sorry for our daughter having only one parent, and financially I think it's better for her.
Please rest assured that Anthony and I will raise your daughter well. Cynthia said that with a triumphant look, as if looking down on me. I couldn't believe what my husband was saying. It's because of you that she'll have only one parent. I hurriedly took my sleeping daughter in my arms and ran out of the house as if to escape, running frantically to the main street. Fortunately, my in-laws didn't chase after me, but all I had at the time was my phone and wallet. My parents' house is just a plane ride away, but I have work. I felt like crying in misery, but I held back because I didn't want to worry my daughter. I then called someone and explained everything. It was my friend Emily, who lives in the same city. She divorced a few years ago and is now a single mother. What? That's unbelievable. Anyway, come over right now. Emily's words were truly a lifesaver for me. Emily has a 4-year-old daughter, and her daughter warmly played with my daughter, saying, "Let's play together." Your husband and in-laws are problematic, but that woman really pisses me off. She looks just like my ex-coworker who suddenly quit recently. Maybe it's because her name is also Cynthia. It's even more irritating. Look at this woman. And she showed me a photo from a year-end party or something. I trembled when I saw that photo, because the person in it was my husband's affair partner. Emily, this is her. My husband's affair partner. I heard she has a tumor or something, and she doesn't have long to live. What? A tumor? Tumor? Could it be that thing? After that, I heard a shocking story from Emily. The day after I left home, my husband contacted me. It seems he wanted to remarry Cynthia quickly, so he gave up custody and agreed easily to compensation and child support. It was moving day, so my daughters and my belongings were sent to the office in boxes. When I told my boss and co-workers about the divorce, everyone had opinions on the statements and actions of the in-laws. Since the nursery and work were within a reasonable distance, my daughter and I stayed in the area for a while. Daphne, thanks for picking me up today. I owe you one. Emily and I helped each other out when she had to work overtime and vice versa. Later, I started living alone with my daughter. Common acquaintances told me that my ex and Cynthia had remarried after the divorce. I heard they held a wedding, but many friends declined to attend once they heard the reason, so it ended up being only a family affair. 6 months after the divorce, my husband called, but I avoided talking to him as I didn't want to hear his voice. I thought he might send an email after giving up, but the phone rang again. Thinking it was delayed child support, I decided to answer.
Daphne, I'm glad you finally picked up. Listen, I was tricked by Cynthia. She's completely fine, full of energy. Please, Daphne, I'm sorry. I'm leaving Cynthia. Please come home. I didn't know where to start, but I couldn't stand spending a night at the home I didn't love. So there's no reason to go back there, and it's impossible to get back together with you.
I said calmly, but from the phone I could hear my husband sniffle uncomfortably. Cynthia should be fine with just monitoring the uterine fibroid, right?
Huh?
I thought she had a tumor, so I imagined malignant tumors like brain tumors. I have uterine fibroids too. They're small and asymptomatic, though. If the symptoms worsen, it seems treatment may be necessary, but I hear that many people are just under observation. It seems my husband and in-laws managed to deflect the topic even when they heard the diagnosis. This is what I heard from Emily and later found out. Cynthia was diagnosed with a small uterine fibroid during a routine checkup. At this stage, the doctor said no treatment was needed. Despite that, Cynthia, perhaps wanting attention at the reunion, exaggerated and claimed she had an incurable disease. Furthermore, upon learning my husband was building a new home, it seems Cynthia wanted to take over the role of wife. Such thoughts are frightening, and I truly think my husband is a real fool for firmly believing the lie. Cynthia must have been quite grateful for my in-laws' supportive comments, and incredibly Cynthia said, "My ex-boyfriend believed I had an incurable disease, and that's how we started dating again. He divorced his wife to be with me. He said I could quit my job because my health must be tough, and on top of that, he's building us a new home. What a jackpot." It seems she was bragging about it at work. Of course, colleagues, including Emily, were taken aback.
She looks healthy and fine, and there's no sign she's been to the hospital, so I confronted her. Then she flipped out and said,
"You just believed it without even checking properly. I didn't do anything wrong." And apparently after, Cynthia stormed out of the house.
"If you had known, Daphne, you should have told me. If you had, I wouldn't have divorced you. It's hard enough to pay the mortgage on the house on my own. I don't know why I'm being blamed for Cynthia. It's hard."
Hey, what do you mean you wouldn't have divorced me? Why are you acting like you did the divorcing? Don't get it twisted. I'm the one who initiated the divorce. I divorced to get away from your fantasy-filled mind and your crazy parents. My husband seemed completely overwhelmed by my forceful tone and fell silent. As I was about to hang up the phone, "Please, Daphne, come back. We were just deceived by that woman." I heard a feeble voice from my mother-in-law, who usually only nagged me. It seems she had been listening to our call beside my husband, and as I remained silent, feeling uncomfortable, my father-in-law spoke up.
"Why not say something? Taking care of a child alone is tough, right, Daphne? Instead of being stubborn, come back." My father-in-law's voice seemed exasperated. "So you're here too?" Of course, my husband is a scumbag, but my in-laws are quite the pieces of work too. That's right, children really do learn from their parents, as they say. No way, you've gotta be kidding. After the divorce, raising my child has become easier. I think because I no longer have to deal with this unreasonable family. "What's with that attitude?"
My father-in-law shouted at me. "That's the part of you I dislike. Can't you show respect to your elders?" Where exactly should I show respect to people who have aged but haven't matured at all? But I have to admit, there's one thing I find impressive about you, Mom. I wouldn't be able to condone my husband's cheating. Huh?
"Hey, you! What are you saying?"
I could hear my father-in-law's voice, which had been completely condescending towards me until just now, sounding quite flustered, but I ignored it because I didn't care. Actually, shortly after my divorce, I encountered a certain scene. A couple walked affectionately arm in arm in front of me. The man was clearly my father-in-law. Well, he can't blame his son, can he? He's cheating too. But remember what you told me, Mom? If you fall in love, there's nothing you can do about it. So I guess it's inevitable, right? What? But why? Shocked, she was visibly shaken.
"Daphne, please forgive us. We'll do anything."
In the background, I could hear my mother-in-law shouting at my father-in-law while my husband's voice remained lifeless. Please forgive us. Your wife lied about being sick and ran away when it was exposed, right? What does that have to do with me? It doesn't concern me at all.
But if Cynthia hadn't lied, we could still be living the way we used to.
Do you realize that by cheating, you didn't just betray me, but also our daughter? Her illness was a lie, so now, let's get back together? What a fairy tale.
What? No way.
We've already divided the assets and I got my compensation. It ended for me half a year ago. It's a memory I don't even want to recall. So stop contacting me over trivial matters. With that, I coldly hung up the phone. I could hear my husband sobbing and my in-laws argued heatedly, but they were just strangers to me now, so I didn't care. Besides, I was busy with other things. I heard that Cynthia had returned to her parents' home. I sent a certified letter to her parents' house, which I had looked up in advance. A few days later, an enraged Cynthia called me. "It's over. How dare you demand compensation now?" "What do you mean, how dare I?" "You destroyed someone's family and thought you wouldn't have to pay compensation. I'm just asking for what I'm entitled to now that I'm ready." "Is there a problem?" "But you already divorced Anthony." "You think I can't claim compensation just because we're divorced?" "I have up to 3 years to make a claim." "Didn't you know that? I thought you'd be aware of such things, given you got involved with a married man." "But I quit my job. I can't pay. Anthony and I fought, and I had to move back home. Now my parents are suspicious after seeing your certified letter. Give me a break. This is the worst." Thinking about how someone else had also said, "Give me a break," I got furious at Cynthia, who showed no remorse. "Everything is a result of the malicious lies you told. It's also disrespectful to people who are truly fighting illness right now. And you can't pay because you quit your job? Then just get a job. You're healthy enough." I said this and hung up the phone forcefully. Did you think I had forgotten to claim compensation from Cynthia? I was relieved to know I had prepared well. Why do people like her always act like victims? It's infuriating. In the end, they only care about themselves. As for the compensation from Cynthia, I struggled because I had no physical evidence. But since both of them admitted to their affair, I could claim compensation from Cynthia too. I actually received the standard amount of compensation from my ex-husband.
Cynthia is good at avoiding troublesome work, and she's pretty crafty about those things. Let's make sure we're fully prepared before making any claims.
Following Emily's advice, we started gathering evidence. And then a while after the divorce, I found Cynthia's social media account. "Met up with my high school ex at a reunion. We're dating again." The post had her ex's face hidden, but it was undeniably a picture of my husband. After that, there were lots of photos of them looking cozy together, including ones taken at a hotel. A few months later, "Today is our wedding anniversary. Finally together, so happy. Living together in our new house, I'm so lucky. But the wallpaper in this room was a mistake, so I'll ask my husband to replace it." The room she was talking about was supposed to be my daughter's room. After marrying my husband, she stopped hiding her face with stickers and posted pictures openly, which was astonishing. Of course, my husband's face was clearly shown, so I saved all the photos proving they had a relationship before our divorce. A few days after Cynthia contacted me, the compensation was deposited, and then all at once my body relaxed. My ex-husband and his family hid the fact that it was a shotgun wedding and spoke very bad about me. Some of his relatives doubted the things they said about me, though. After learning everything, Cynthia's parents paid the compensation and then disowned her. Despite suddenly quitting her job, Cynthia showed up at Emily's workplace asking for her job back. But she was unanimously rejected. Emily told me that Cynthia looked quite ragged and didn't seem to be living well. I'm really glad to have a friend like Emily. Otherwise, I might have ended up homeless. The consequences of someone who cheats is just like this. It would be good if my in-laws suffered as much. I'm truly grateful to Emily. By the way, speaking of my in-laws, I reconnected with someone. It's a neighbor of my in-laws. I had a conversation with her when I brought the carpenter a gift.
Anthony, there were moments when he seemed absent-minded, but I'm relieved he has such a dependable wife. Whenever you're struggling with your in-laws, feel free to consult with me.
When I was approached by her, I knew that she was a conspicuous presence in the town. Upon meeting me again,
I was so surprised. Just when I thought the house was completed, the bride has changed. Rumors were circulating about a homewrecker and marriage, but they ended up divorcing right away. I was worried, but seeing your healthy complexion reassured me. By the way, did you know? The house now.
I couldn't help but laugh at the story I heard from the chatty neighbor. Apparently, they're trying to sell the newly built house, while my ex-husband still lives there. However, for some reason, the house just won't sell at all.
You know, that house is called the House of Misfortune. It was a marriage based on deception, and in the end, they got divorced, right? They say just living there makes you unlucky. It's famous around here.
Whenever I see him, my husband seems worn out, lacking any vitality. After divorcing Cynthia, it seems there were talks about suing her for fraud. However, Cynthia is currently missing. Could it be that she's actually become homeless? I've had such thoughts, but they don't matter now. By the way, it seems my in-laws had a tough time afterward. It seems my father-in-law had an affair with a subordinate, and my enraged mother-in-law unexpectedly stormed into the company. As a result, my father-in-law was demoted from his position and became an ordinary employee. His affair partner was also transferred to a regional office. It seems my mother-in-law firmly demanded compensation, but she didn't divorce my father-in-law. My father-in-law's income significantly dropped, and my mother-in-law started working part-time. However, due to her poor memory, she was quickly fired. Nowadays, it seems the voices of them arguing can be heard almost every day from that house. I was truly relieved to be rid of such a family, thinking that my neighbor's information network must be fearsome. By the way, the room I'm renting now happens to be next to Emily's. Our children also transferred to the same nursery, and as single mothers, we're supporting each other.
When I was devastated after my ex-husband cheated on me and we divorced, you, Daphne, were the only one who cried for me. You really saved me. So when you're going through tough times, I'll definitely help you. That's what I thought.
Emily, who gave me those words, will always be my cherished best friend from now on. That's the end of my story. Thank you so much for listening this far. You fought against an unbelievable monster. A best friend whose room is next to yours is much more reliable than in-laws or anyone else. I'm rooting for you. Daphne dreams of owning her own home. But secretly, her husband had betrayed her all along. Moreover, his parents blamed Daphne instead of her husband, saying unfair things. Yet she didn't give up, supported by her best friend and beloved daughter. Whoever cheats is responsible, no matter the excuse. Making excuses or blaming others is shallow and misguided. People should realize that.